Before we start, think about this. What if a man from one of the most powerful legal families suddenly called 911 and said his wife and son were shot dead? And what if that same man later became the main suspect in the case? This is exactly what happened in the story of Alex Murdaugh. His case shocked the United States because it had everything: money, power, lies, and murder. In June 2021, Alex called the police and said he found his wife Maggie and his son Paul dead near the family property in South Carolina. At first, people felt sympathy for him. A grieving husband and father. That is what it looked like on the surface. But as investigators looked deeper, the story slowly started to change. What seemed like a simple case became one of the most shocking criminal stories in recent years. And the biggest question remained: what really happened that night? The powerful Murdaugh family. Before we understand the case, we need to understand the family behind it. The Murdaugh family was one of the most well-known legal families in South Carolina. For decades, members of the family worked as prosecutors and lawyers. They had power, respect, and strong connections in the legal system. People in the region knew their name very well. Alex Murdaugh also worked as a lawyer at the family law firm. On the outside, he had a successful life. Money, status, and respect were all part of his image. But behind that image, problems were growing. Financial pressure, personal struggles, and hidden actions were slowly building up. And those hidden problems would soon become part of a much larger story. Trouble before the murders. Before the killings, the family was already under pressure. One major event was a boat crash involving Alex's son Paul. Paul was involved in a crash that killed a young woman. This case brought heavy public attention to the family. Lawsuits started building, and the pressure increased. At the same time, Alex was facing another serious issue. He was secretly taking money from clients and his law firm. Over time, large amounts of money went missing. This created a dangerous situation for him. Legal problems, financial pressure, and public attention were all closing in at the same time. Everything was building up in the background, even before the tragic night. The night of the murders. Now we come to the night that changed everything. On June 7, 2021, Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were found shot dead at the family property in South Carolina. Alex Murdaugh called 911 and said he discovered their bodies near the dog kennels. He sounded emotional and shocked. At first, investigators treated it like a tragic family crime. A father and husband in pain. That was the early picture. But soon, small details began to raise questions. Things were not adding up the way they should. And slowly, suspicion started to shift in a very different direction. The story starts falling apart. At the beginning, Alex said he was not near the dog kennels that night. He claimed he was at the house and only found the bodies later. But investigators later found something very important. A video recorded by his son Paul placed Alex near the kennels just minutes before the murders. That moment changed everything. It meant Alex had lied about where he was. And once that happened, investigators began to look at him in a completely different way. From that point on, his version of events started to fall apart piece by piece. The financial crimes come out. While the murder investigation continued, another shocking truth came out. Alex had been stealing money for years. He took money from clients, friends, and even people who trusted him during legal cases. These were not small amounts. The total reached millions. Some of the victims were already going through painful situations and trusted him to help them. Instead, the money was secretly taken. This created a strong motive question. Investigators suggested that the murders may be linked to his financial problems and fear of being exposed. Now the case was no longer just about a family tragedy. It became about lies, money, and control. The trial begins. In 2023, the murder trial began. The entire country watched closely. Every day brought new details and new arguments. The prosecution said Alex killed his wife and son because his life was collapsing. His financial crimes were about to come out, and pressure was increasing. The defense said there was no direct proof. No weapon was found. No clear physical evidence directly linked him to the murders. But prosecutors focused on his lies, phone records, and behavior after the crime. Every detail started painting a bigger picture. The kennel video moment. One of the most important moments in the trial was the kennel video. It showed Maggie and Paul at the dog kennels just minutes before their deaths. In the background, Alex's voice could be heard. This proved he was lying when he said he was not there. When he testified in court, he admitted he lied about his location. He said he was struggling with addiction and confusion. But for many people watching the trial, this was a turning point. It damaged his credibility in a major way. Emotional courtroom testimony. During the trial, the court heard emotional statements from family members, investigators, and friends. They described the events, the timeline, and the impact of the crimes. The courtroom often became very emotional as details were shared. At times, Alex showed emotion while listening to testimony. But prosecutors said emotion could not change the facts presented in court. The case became not only about evidence, but also about trust and lies. Defense arguments. The defense team tried to create doubt in the case. They pointed out missing evidence and questioned parts of the investigation. They said there was no direct physical proof that Alex committed the murders. But prosecutors replied that the case was built on a full pattern of behavior, including lies, financial pressure, and the timeline of events. The jury had to decide which side made more sense based on everything they heard. The verdict. After weeks of testimony, the jury reached a decision. Alex Murdaugh was found guilty of murdering his wife Maggie and his son Paul. The courtroom reacted strongly as the verdict was read. The case that had shocked the country now had an answer. He was sentenced to 2 life terms in prison without parole. For many, it felt like the end of a long and confusing story. More twists after the trial. Even after the conviction, the story did not end. Later legal actions led to changes in the case status. The murder conviction was overturned, and a new trial was ordered. However, Alex remains in prison because of his financial crime convictions. This added another twist to a case that already felt like it had too many turns. Even today, new updates continue to come out. Why this case shocked so many people? The reason this case became so famous is simple. It was not just about crime. It was about power and reputation. A respected legal family was suddenly at the center of murder and fraud. People who were trusted for generations were now under investigation. It showed how a public image can hide serious problems behind the scenes. And it also showed how quickly everything can collapse when the truth comes out. The story of Alex Murdaugh is one of the most shocking cases in recent American history. A powerful family name that once meant respect became linked with crime and tragedy. Even now, people still ask questions. Not just about what happened, but how it all went unnoticed for so long. This case remains one of the clearest examples of how hidden secrets can eventually come to light, no matter how powerful someone may be. If you like this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload.